Hi, my name is Russell Lucas. I'm a theatre maker and I talk to other theatre makers. So I've just spoken to Lee and his interview is coming up. We touched on the role of the sound designer. I asked him what's the difference between composing for a piece of live theatre and designing sound for one. And I find out what a sonic attack is. So here's Lee and click to subscribe. Hi Lee, how are you?
Yeah, I'm good. Thank you, Russell.
Thank you for coming on today. You're going to talk about sound design in a little moment. But first, tell us about you. Um, what's your job? I know you have many, but which hat are you?
Mm. I am a sound designer, composer, and collaborator, really. I uh, I put the sound design into a production, into a play, into an installation. I also put the composition, the music side into that as well, and then find the balance between them both. But I'm also a collaborator in the room. I do a lot of work in the room with a creative team to create sonic worlds together, to create a piece together.
Okay. And are you working on something at the moment? Is that right? You're working on a film? Or
Yes, I've been working on three dance films just recently. Um, so putting the music into those films. So created the music beforehand with the dancer, and then matched the music to the movement afterwards. So it's a bit of a backwards process. To, as it, if it was doing it live, it would just be all there, but it's finding the beats within the room, making the music as we go, and then producing the music afterwards and putting the music fully onto the film. So it's a different way of working.
yeah, that's really collaborative as well.
Yeah, really collaborative. It, it's one thing that I've really missed actually in lockdown. It's a very it can be quite a lonely thing actually, working during lockdown. So to have those moments of collaboration are real highlights.
Right. And just generally, what is a sound designer? Your definition.
Okay, so I would uh, I would class sound design as the the atmosphere within a piece. We sound places us wherever we are. We can stand in a park, we can stand in a on a roadside, we can be in a supermarket, and we know essentially where we are through sound, and sound informs our picture of where we are. And I think in a theatre setting, in a film setting, that is a very similar. That can be applied in a very similar way. You can set scene very easily. You can move vast distances in seconds with sound design, which is something that it's very tricky to do with physical scene change. The words, you have to say a few words to get there, but with sound you can place somebody in a split second. I think it's essentially that's what sound design can do, and then it's the fun becomes in how you manipulate that.
Right. Is there seems to be a line between sound designer and composer. Is there a line between the two? Can you find that line? Is there no line? I don't know.
Um, th- there is a line. I think. I mean, I've been employed on shows solely to look at the sound design elements, uh, and it's sets can set an atmosphere, and it's the textural sort of work. So I can go out with my dictaphone and I can record sounds and I can manipulate those in any way I like to create certain feelings within a piece. I did a piece last year where somebody was dealing with PTSD and they were stuck in their house. And every time the front door opened, there was quite pedestrian sounds of cars and traffic, a normal street noise. But then as the play went on and his mind deteriorated, um, that was littered with World War II sounds as the door was opening, and it's like an encroaching, approaching danger coming into the house, and then shut the door, and that was off. So it's how those sounds are manipulated and twisted to inform a piece. Whereas composition, I would say it's more of a, it's the musicality, it's the emotion within the piece. It's the, I work a lot with dance and theatre, but the stuff, the music, the work with dance tends to be composition, the musicality, how an instrument can work with a part of the body to create a synergy between the performer and the music.
Yeah. Yeah, it seems like they both serve narrative in different ways, don't they?
They do.
Part of the narrative of the scene, as it were.
Yeah.
That's intriguing. I've never actually had a sound designer on a production I've produced or worked on. So how can a sound designer improve a piece of live theatre?
I think, as I said before about the scene setting, it's the moving space and time very, very quickly. Like I mentioned before in the example with the door opening and the war sounds coming through, you could get some text to speak that, but actually we don't want that to be said out loud. We want the subtext of what's going on in a piece. There were two characters on stage. One of them couldn't hear this war sound. One of them could hear this war sound, and it's the subtext that's at play at the time. So one of the characters was speaking to the character that was feeling this pressure, and they would just speak to them normally. And it was like an attack, from a verbal attack. It was a sonic attack coming through the door. It was, there was a subtext of how one character feels, and it's not written. It's a creative interpretation of the feeling, and it's how that's manipulated.
Yeah, I really like that. What you just said, a sonic attack. It's, rather
different to massive attack.
that's great, sonic attack. I'm going to remember that. What's the future for sound design? Because I appreciate we're living in a bit of an alternative universe at the moment, but do you, as the kind of the skill set and the trade evolves, what do you think is coming next for sound designers within the context of live performance? Is there a future you see, or
there's definitely a massive push for the way the sonics are mounted. So we went through a binaural stage, and we saw the Complicité show, The Encounter. So we went through that kind of stage. Then it becomes a 3D sound, and now we're into the virtual reality 3D sound, and it's how sound immerses us, and again how we're placed to make it feel as 3D as possible. And I think that's where we're going. But in all of that, the artist is still at the center of that, and that's the person, and you still have to be able to creatively interpret using sounds. They are just tools. They are tools, and it's great using them, and they're great fun. But you are still creating. You are interpreting a text, interpreting movement, using your own ears first of all, and then you can look at how to manipulate those things.
With that in mind as well,
yeah.
How do you dodge the bullet of theatre becoming film? Because obviously film is very sonic. It is definitely an attack these days. So how does dodge that? I mean, dodge is probably the wrong word, I don't know, but how does theatre retain the live experience as well? Again, and maybe a bit of a cod question, but
I think no.
We have to keep hold of the live act as well.
I think it's absolutely right. I think it's absolutely right, and I think I feel my best work comes out of the collaboration in a theatre setting, because we've all got a hand in the live crackle and snap of a live piece, and I am the sound designer, composer in the room, but the director has a hand in the sound. The actors on stage have a hand in the sound, and so becomes an embodied experience, and it's not telling the story twice. And I think in film, what we get a lot of the time is a very emotional scene with emotional music and emotional design and whatever else it carries. So there are two, three, four ways of telling the same story. In 30, you can really manipulate what story is being told, um, with 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 great sound design. So you can play with the subtext more. You can play with a live, visceral feeling of a scene rather than it being at a distance on a screen, which the connection isn't quite the same.
Yeah. Have you ever watched an actor and changed your sound design and gone, oh, that doesn't work because of what's going on?
Yeah, of course. That happens all the time. It happens all the time because I'm playing in the room. So I will go with I'll think of a palette of sounds. What I tend to do as well is, um, at the start of a process, I'll have a meeting with the director, with the rest of the creative team, and I'll get say a Spotify playlist or a palette of sounds and sound effects together, send that across, and so we start creating a common language. Go into the room with this common language, and then realize, dear, none of it works. You have to redesign all of that. We have to rethink all of that. But that's the beauty of it, and it's the surprise of it that's really nice, actually.
Yeah, that sounds amazing. Bonus question before we go.
Yeah.
Uh, I want to become a sound designer, say.
Yeah.
What's probably a good step? I mean, obviously, let's say I'm graduating and
Yeah.
now I'm like, "Ugh, now what?
Yeah.
What do you reckon?
I would say, I was asked this question the other day, and I collaborate as much as possible. Find other people to collaborate with. What is great about this sound designer role is that you don't necessarily need a full room of people. Like say a director needs, a choreographer needs. You can go out on your own with your phone, actually record sounds, put them into your computer, buy a cheap piece of audio manipulator software, and see how you can manipulate those sounds. See what comes up. There's also free film software that you can use. I think it's called One Shot, and you can apply sound effects to layers, on a timeline, and you can play with how sound effects manipulate a scene. And that's really cool because it's a little taste, it's a little start.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would try and go out and record things, bring them back, put them into your computer, and see if you can manipulate
Mm, yeah.
and
Create
go
your
out and listen.
app.
Yeah, exactly. Go out and listen as well. Go and listen and really tune in. I run a task when I do deliver workshops sometimes, and one of the tasks is to write down as many sounds as you can hear right now. I mean, maybe just sat in a theatre space, and people thinking, well, I can't hear anything really. But if you really tune in, by the end of the workshop, we did the same task again, and you really tune in. There are so many sounds that you can hear, so many throughout the room, throughout the space, shared space with each other. So really listen.
Yeah. That's amazing. You're my first sound designer on the channel.
Oh, thank you for having me. This has been great. Thank you.
Yeah, no, it's lovely. It's been really, really interesting and eye-opening for me. So thank you for talking today.
Thank you for having me. It's been amazing.
All right, see you later. Bye.
Bye.